Hello, this is the Free Filmmakers podcast. I'm Evan,
I'm Rio.
I'm Reese.
and on this podcast, we'll be talking about our journey as film students and going through our everyday lives. Let's get into the podcast. Okay, so in this episode, we're going to be reflecting on our last project as film students. We did a film review followed by a podcast, which you're listening to now. So, Reese, what did you do for your film review?
I reviewed the film Trainspotting.
And what did you do for the review?
I did quite a few things. There was a lot of research required. So the first things I did was write down my first thoughts on the film, which I wrote down while watching. Did contextual research, technical research. That was technicals, things like camera angles, sets, that sort of thing, and concept contextual was more like sort of history behind some of the film, sort of the context around the time it was set, um, that sort of thing. And then I did what else did I do? It's quite hard to talk about.
Did
Well, oh no, go on.
did you enjoy the film? Was it good?
Yeah, I did enjoy the film. It's really good.
How many stars did you give it?
I'm pretty sure I just gave it 5 out of 5 stars.
What's it about? Could you give us a description?
So it's a film about a bunch of heroin addicts. It's not a film about watching trains.
Oh,
Um,
inspired.
Right, I'm going to move on to my reflection now. I reviewed Three Colors Blue. It's a film from, I believe, 1993. It's French from a Polish director. So at first, obviously, I did first impressions because we had the same brief, all three of us, and my my colleague here is looking distraught at his his review. So I looked into six reputable critics and what they said. I looked into reviews and what makes a good film review first. So I'd look at like Robert Ebert, that's his name, isn't it? I looked
Yeah, I
into
think so.
him and a few others, and then I looked specifically into some reviews of the film. And just to kind of base my own, I did some contextual and technical research like Reese, and then I used all the elements of that to craft a review of my own. I did a first draft, got that approved from our tutors. Did a second draft, got that approved, and then printed that onto a graphical magazine cover where I can now officially publish it.
Wow.
The
What
podcast. Oh no, sorry, go on.
what was your film about?
My film is about a woman whose wife, no, husband and kid who has just died in a car accident,
Oh
and
no.
how she tries to get away from it all. So it's a bit of an art house film,
Hmm.
and
Sounds interesting.
it's interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, and then so that we did all that, and then we moved on to the podcast. Now this is the fourth episode of the podcast. We recorded all of this the other day, and it went wrong because of the audio. So everything you've heard in the last three episodes has been re-recordings.
Yeah.
So to reflect on, I suppose pre-plan a bit more. We
But-
need to maybe book out some microphones earlier on and get a better idea of what to do.
And a better area to.
Better area to record.
Mm.
Now, Rio, talk to us about your film.
Right. So I watched Taxi Driver. Have either of you heard of it?
Ooh.
Have either of you heard of Taxi Driver?
I've not watched Taxi Driver, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
I've seen Taxi Driver. It's
Hmm.
a very, very good film.
Yeah, it's good. It is good. Many people say it's a cult classic. I don't actually know. I think it's okay. It's good. I wouldn't say it's brilliant. It's a masterpiece.
I don't
It's
think you can
decent.
define if something's a cult classic or not.
Right,
But
right. No, because if you
you
call
can
it,
define if it's good or not.
right,
But you can't define if it's a cult
I
classic.
think it's overrated. Like many
Do
other
you?
things.
How many stars did you give it? I give my film 4 stars out of 5.
I'd probably give mine. Ooh, that's a good question. I think I might have to give it. I'm going to be a bit specific. 3.86.
Ooh.
So Absolutely crazy. We had the exact same brief. Who would have guessed? It's almost like we're doing the same course. So I was looking at, technical research.
Why are you
Are you good?
Oh, our colleague Reese can't.
He's on a crazy one. I do technical research, contextual research, and research my podcast. It's like,
Ooh.
so my technical is like, let's have a look at the camera that was used to film it. So it was what was it? Let me think. The Ariflex 35PL camera.
Wow, that's very impressive. That's very impressive off the top of your head.
Yeah, mate. No, I remember because it was like really random. Because it was like it's just loads of letters. It's like a double R, I think.
How did you know that?
Oh, because I just remember.
Ooh, let me just think.
Yeah, I just remember. Anyway, yeah, I liked the film. Well, like I said earlier,
Ooh.
it had good color theory. Like one scene that I kept saying in my film review is there's a scene right at the start. Evan, you've watched it, Reese. You ain't.
I've seen it. Yeah,
Yeah.
talk to me.
So do you remember at the start where Travis, whatever his name is, Travis is in his little beep beep taxi
Yep.
and he's going through the
Yep.
streets and it's nighttime and it's like got the little jazz background music.
Yep.
And he's going for it.
It's not cool when you say it. That's my catchphrase for the podcast.
Well, he's going through and there's green hazy lights in the background. Green, to be exact.
Is he by himself at this
He is
point?
by himself. He's in
Okay.
the taxi by himself. He's cruising down the streets and he's seeing loads of. Yeah, so he's going down the streets. I need to stop looking at you. I'll get into it here. You haven't even done anything.
He wasn't even like this the other day. It's just because.
Yeah, so like, it's really green. And I believe that the reason why I'd have made it green and not any other colour is because he's jealous. Because he wants he wants someone to love and he's jealous of these men that are paying for all these prostitutes and just getting.
Oh yeah, Harvey
Yeah.
Keitel is the pimp.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he plays the pimp.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Did you know when
Ooh.
when there's a person in the back of his taxi and that's played by Martin Scorsese?
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
Is that the one where I don't know if you remember the scene where they're in the taxi and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go kill my
Yeah,
wife."
yeah.
Is he?
Can I talk about the colour theory in train spot? Can I talk about the Can I talk about the colour theory in train spotting?
No.
Yeah,
So we're gonna move on to
We're,
the
talk,
next
we're,
part of the podcast.
we're talking about my podcast here. I mean, my film.
Yeah,
Shush,
guys,
shush,
I've
shush,
got
shush.
3 minutes.
Yeah, we can get back to you in a sec.
Talk about
We can get back to you in a sec, mate. So, yeah, I believed it was about jealousy and disgust because he hates all the like pimps who are keeping all these prostitutes and making them do stuff when he's not a fan of that. He's came back from Vietnam. He's a veteran, so he's not very chuffed with the world that he was attempting to save.
Understandably.
Hmm.
That's a good review. I
Yes.
like how you looked into something there. It
Hmm.
was quite smart. Now, if you insist on talking about your colour theory, we better hurry it up.
Yes,
Little
so
pimp.
hurry up. Don't call me pimp. In train spotting, the colour red is used a lot. Now in films, red normally means danger and that sort of thing. But
Danger.
in train spotting, it's similar. But anytime something like drugs, sex, violence is used in a scene, there's the colour red. So for
Hello, there's someone here.
what's going on?
Just another plan.
You came in.
Finish up.
Yeah, go on.
Where was I?
I don't know. Where were you?
Something. Anyway.
Right, so obviously my film has blue in the title. It shows a lot of blue to show the grief, which is interesting.
Hmm.
Now, do you feel like we have fully reflected on our work?
Do you think you've gained some knowledge from doing?
I think it's
some
interesting. I
reviews?
think if I rewatch Taxi Driver, I'll keep your thoughts in mind. I'm looking forward to reading your full review.
I'm looking forward to reading both of yours.
Yeah,
But hearing about the colour red and the colour blue.
and I'm sure we'll talk more in depth about this some other time.
Hmm.
But for now, we were the Free Filmmakers podcast, and we will see you in a bit.
Bye bye.
Bye.
I'm bloody tastic.